welcome to Red Clay this month. I'm your host and Director of Elementary School Operations, Amy Grundy, and you, of course, are our lovely audience, so thank you for joining us. I'm very excited for this month's show because November has always been a favorite month of mine. You see, November sets in, and we all begin the season of spending time with our family, eating lots of good food, and we begin thinking about gift giving. But the overarching theme on the 11th month of this year is gratitude, which is also true because it's National Gratitude Month. Gratitude is more than simply saying thank you. Gratitude has amazing powers. It shifts us from focusing on the negative to appreciating what is positive in our lives. Practicing daily gratitude gives us a deeper connection to ourselves and to the world around us. Everything in our lives has the ability to improve when we are grateful. Research has shown that gratitude can enhance our mood, decrease our stress levels, and dramatically improve our overall level of health. On average, grateful people tend to have fewer stress-related illnesses, they experience less depression, and they have lower blood pressure. They're more physically fit, they're happier, and they have more satisfying personal and professional relationships. And for our students throughout the district, it's been found that grateful kids are more likely to succeed in school. I may have made that one up, but it sounds about right. If everyone practiced daily gratitude, we could change ourselves and the planet for the better. So what are you waiting for? Let's give gratitude a try. Starting right here on this show, we're going to talk with guests who we are grateful for and who celebrate gratitude all year long, as we all should. So let's get this thing started, shall we? That I'm grateful to be part of Red Clay, and I love my job because each and every day I learn, see, and often hear new things, which means it's time for our monthly segment, Red Clay, What Do You Say? This is our segment where we read funny and adorable quotes from students across our district. Our first one comes from Ethan in kindergarten. Two kindergarten students were walking in the hall and they saw a teacher that they didn't recognize because she was from another school and she was there to give the Dibbles reading test. The one boy said hello and his classmate warned him not to talk to strangers, to which the boy replied, "She's not a stranger, she comes here just to study us." Aww. Which was really kind of funny. Another kindergarten student, Hannah, on the second day of school said in a very sad voice, "I haven't even got to be the line leader yet because I've only been here since yesterday." To which the teacher replied, "You'll get a chance. Everyone has only been here since yesterday." And finally, a fourth grade student responded to his teacher when asked, "Why is it so important that you come to school every day?" To which he replied, "So my parents can go to work." That made perfect sense to him. Kids do say very funny things. I'm very excited to welcome our first guests to our show today. Please join me in welcoming Red Clay's Equity Officer, Dr. Tawanda Bond, and with her, Shayla Perkins, Diversity Champion from Stanton Middle School. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
I'm excited for our conversation today. So tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today. We'll start with you, Dr. Bond.
Well, for me, I started as a science teacher, teaching special education science to high school students. I had the fortune of becoming a school leader, going on to be an assistant principal at a high school, a comprehensive high school, and then also going on to be a principal at a middle school. For me, really, the job has morphed out of me seeing myself as a servant leader.
Okay.
In my mind, I see the work as growing people. So really, my path along the way has been about where can I serve in the greatest capacity to serve people. So in that role of servant leader, it's sort of led me to where I am today.
How do you define equity?
So when I think about equity and not really thinking about the technical definition of equity, I really look at it as a way in which we're providing our schools and our school communities with the resources they need at the levels that they need it. So when we look at the predictability of student achievement, really giving our school community, our teachers, our teacher leaders, our district leaders, the tools to be able to really start to break down the barriers that lead to the predictability of student achievement in schools.
Similar definition?
Yes, I would give a similar definition. Just making sure that everyone has access to the opportunities they need to be successful.
Excellent. And then we all have a responsibility to remove any barriers that would stand in the way.
Correct.
Absolutely. And when you look at student achievement, breaking down those barriers can come from all different aspects. So it can be things like socio-emotional learning, it can be trauma-informed care, it can be things that address curriculum, pacing, how we roll those resources out to schools. And also aligning our partners with our schools in manners in which schools are receiving the tools that they need to move the needle.
All right, so you just touched on a few, but tell me a little bit more about the work that you're doing in your capacity as the Chief Equity Officer, and then we'll shift to you to learn more about the work of the Diversity Champion.
So in my role as Equity Officer, we've done a lot of work. Some things that we've really taken some time to do this year that we're really proud of is working with curriculum and instruction, because in my role, I'm like a cross-pollinator. So I work with a lot of different departments and taking a look at how our students are handling text in their curriculum. Because we always want students to have the opportunity to see themselves. So we want students to have educational mirrors. We want them to have educational sliding glass doors and educational windows.
So what do you mean by that?
Sure. So when we talk about educational mirrors, we want students to be able to look at curriculum and look at text and see and feel things that reflect themselves and their identity.
Okay, makes
when
sense.
we talk about sliding glass doors, we want students to be empathetic and be able to take curriculum and text and walk through those doors to be a part of maybe a system in which they're not familiar with their identities. And when we talk about educational windows, that's just giving students the opportunity to be able to see into, other places and into other aspects and ideas that they may not be familiar with in their own communities and in their own homes. So it giving students the opportunity to recognize who they are gives them an additional layer, an additional resource to be able to start to understand the world around them and who everyone else is.
So has this required a shift in the materials that we use in our classrooms?
So right now what we're looking at is some of our evaluation tools for some of the curriculum that we bring in.
Okay.
So for example, this year we are going to be utilizing a culturally responsive text selection tool that our English language arts teachers and our secondary social studies teachers will have as a resource as they're bringing in things for like independent reading, book reports, novels that teachers are using in classrooms, and it just gives teachers a different lens when they're selecting those pieces that they have autonomy to use in classes.
Yeah, kind of helping them to think about things they might not have otherwise thought about.
Yeah.
What about you, the work of the Diversity Champion? What is your role?
So really the work of a diversity champion, because we are already in the building, we already have our own role in any building in Red Clay, we're doing our regular role, but we're looking at it like Dr. Bond said, with a lens, looking at it with that diversity and that equity lens, and thinking about as we go through our day, thinking about our interactions with staff, our interactions with students, our interactions with the community, when we're going to different community events or different building leadership team meetings or whatever, thinking about curriculum, like Dr. Bond said, thinking about the data that maybe we're looking at, thinking about events when we're planning events for our schools, and thinking about, are we being inclusive? Are these the best decisions to make everybody feel supported and safe in the school environment?
So as one champion in the building, how do you ensure the ripple effect? Like, how are you influencing in your leadership role other people's ways of thinking in your school, in your schoolhouse, in your school building?
I would say that people want to be inclusive and people want to create a safe learning environment. So them having that support from districts saying that this is a person that you can maybe go to and ask some questions, or this person is on the building leadership team, and people coming to me and bouncing ideas off of me or asking me different questions really helps with that.
Awesome.
And one nice thing we've also implemented this year is our continuous work with our diversity committee. So we meet monthly, and a portion of our time is professional learning and growth for our diversity champions, because we've rolled out 29 this year, K-12, every school has one, and the message is consistent. So when we give the professional learning every month, and it can be on data analysis, looking at disaggregated cells in our schools, and looking at achievement gaps, looking at discipline disparities, disparities, things like that. The diversity champions are then able to take that information plus the tools that they learn in our committee meetings back to their schools and turn it around in that capacity in their building. So the building teachers, the school administrators, because they're also part of our building leadership teams, then have them as a resource in their planning, their execution, as well as their professional learning in their buildings.
Right.
So it's a very nice cyclical system.
Yeah, and it'll definitely impact the culture across the district.
Absolutely. That's the goal.
Yeah, so what are some of the challenges you face doing this work? Because it's sometimes sensitive. And then what's been rewarding so far for you?
So I would say the challenge in any type of diversity and equity work is moving the needle and moving people. Because one thing that we know for sure is guilt, politeness, and fear hold inequities in place, and they also hold injustices in place. So once we kind of can push through those pieces, because people don't always realize that their politeness is holding systems in place that may be detrimental to students. So getting through those pieces and having those conversations and creating those brave spaces is where we need to be. And that is the challenge. The challenge is getting around those parts to really get into the work.
And I would imagine that's also the rewarding piece when you actually see it happening, when you see somebody actually step up and, as we've learned, intercept bias that they see in action. So what about you? Have you had something rewarding, Shayla?
Absolutely. For me as a teacher, the reward is seeing the students, seeing when they feel safe or when they feel accepted, and maybe they're coming from a community or a background where maybe no one's ever kind of talked about it or made them feel included in a space, and they do feel included. And I think that ultimately why we're doing this work is because we do want students to have opportunities to be successful, and people, students, adults, anybody, they feel they feel successful, and they feel like they can reach opportunities when they feel safe and when they feel accepted. So that's been the most rewarding part for me, is seeing those students feel good about the environment that they're in.
The connections before the content. They have to feel safe.
Correct.
Before
Absolutely.
They can learn anything. Be ready to learn. So your position has only been in existence for 1 year. So what have you noticed change over the course of the 1 year that you've been working in this capacity?
What I've seen as the biggest change is just the focus. Red Clay has always had a belief in diversity and equity, as evidenced by policies that we have in place in our district.
And the core values that we communicate.
Believe in our core values that we communicate, our core values that we constantly speak about and walk and talk about. But the biggest change I've seen is the focus. So going into schools and seeing schools planning around the data, looking at the data disaggregated, taking a look at how they're rolling out resources in the buildings, where it's really like boots on the ground, where it's getting to the kids, and then hearing the conversations, because data, plans don't change people's minds. What changes people's minds are the stories, and hearing the people, hearing our staff, hearing our students, hearing our parents tell their stories, because we know that when people tell stories, stories are what changes hearts, and hearts begin to influence minds. So it goes above and beyond the data and the plans and those things that we do, and it really goes into the why we do it, the stories.
And we're
and that's
beginning,
been rewarding.
to your point, to create that landscape where people have the opportunity in a safe space to tell their story. So I think that you're right, that's progress. The last thing I want to ask you is, what is something that we all can do to support equity in our schools and in our community? And I'll
let my champion talk first.
I'll start with your champion first.
So I think the two most important things that any person could do, whether they're in any work environment, is being reflective, number one. Thinking about your own decisions, your own behavior, and just reflecting on that. How could I have done that better? Or how might that have made someone feel? And then the second thing is really being honest about our own identity and our own biases when we're interacting with each other. We all have our own things, with things that we prefer or experiences that we've had, and we bring that to the table whenever we're anywhere, and being honest with yourself about what those are, and then using that to inform what you do, and then going ahead and reflecting on that are probably the two most important things. So just bias and reflection are the two things that anyone anywhere can do to really push forward being inclusive and equitable and creating a safe, diverse space.
Well, I know under your leadership, Dr. Bond, and I'm sure it's going to have the ripple effect with all the diversity champions. For me personally, it's impacted the work that you've led over the past year, the way I think, and the awareness and my capacity to think about where I come from, my own personal biases, and how that impacts how I interact with others. So it's working, at least here within me, so if I'm any indication of the impact it's going to have across our district, you guys are doing a great job. So keep it up. It's been my pleasure to have you here today.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited
Thank
about
you.
what's happening, and I
very
look
excited.
forward to see where we go in the future. So
Thank you for
very
having
much.
me.
Thank you.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner.
Excellent. Soccer is fun. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're the family. Oh, I thought you were on my team. Wait.
In Red Clay, there's more to being a school nurse than just giving out Band-Aids. Sure, we help prevent the spread of flu and other diseases, but did you also know that we work with physicians to coordinate care? We administer medication and manage chronic disease. We coordinate sports physicals and provide education to students, staff, and communities. We deal with stomach aches, sprains, and nosebleeds. We conduct screenings for hearing, vision, and so much more. Plus, we document it all. And sure, we give out the occasional Band-Aid or two as well. Red Clay Nurses, keeping your kids healthy is what we do best.
Welcome back to Red Clay this month. On November 11th, we'll be celebrating Veterans Day. And it's obvious that we're grateful to all those brave people who served in our armed forces. And did you know that throughout Red Clay, many veterans serve as teachers, school leaders, and staff, and in so many other ways. So today I'm honored to have one of those amazing people as my guest. Please help me in welcoming Mr. James Craster. Hi, Jim, how are you? Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Have a seat. So you work here in McCain High School. What do
Indeed.
you do here in McCain?
I am the technology education teacher.
Excellent, excellent. So you're also a proud veteran. Where and when did you serve?
I'm an Air Force veteran, 25
Okay.
years. I started in the Pacific, Micronesian Islands, Guam.
Okay.
From there, various other places, England, Italy, Japan, Finland,
Wow.
and of course some stateside assignments. And I retired at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware.
Is that how you landed here in Delaware?
That's how I landed here in Delaware.
Excellent.
Nice one on the landing there.
What motivated you to serve in the military?
Well, I graduated in 1983, and it was an interesting time in America. There was a resurgence of patriotism, and my family had always been Navy, so I decided to join the Air Force to be different.
Was that typical of you as a teenager?
Yes, quite so.
From all your years in the military, is there a particular moment that stands out or that has really helped you grow as a person?
No, the military was full of too many of those opportunities. I'm kind of a reader.
Okay.
And Mark Twain once said that travel is the death of prejudice. So any that I had were rapidly dispelled as I went to the various different countries and met different people. So I think that's what made me grow as a human being, to see all the people and understand that we're all the same.
Right. And did that help translate when you shifted? Well, how did you shift to become a teacher?
Well, in the military, I was also a military training instructor and a training superintendent.
Okay.
So the
teaching is in your blood.
Yeah, the education thing was kind of there, and there's really very little difference between an 18-year-old recruit and a high school student. So it seemed a natural transition.
So did you get your formal education after the military?
No, while I was in the military.
Okay.
I started out like a lot of our students, wanting to go to college, but wanted to put it off a little bit for work. And then I did that, and then the military was kind of like a technical school. And while I was there, I got my education. The military paid for it.
Okay,
That's a
perk
good
for
bonus.
sure.
Yeah, it was a long way around.
Yeah.
I certainly got my degree later than most kids would, but you know, and that's how it happened.
How many years have you been teaching now?
I have been teaching 12 at Red Clay.
Okay, awesome. So how do you use your experiences from the military or even life experiences to influence and impact your students?
Well, the students that know me know that I'm full of experiences, and but they are real experiences. And kids, they value reality. A high school student can tell in a second when you're not being authentic.
Oh, absolutely.
And so because I've had these real life experiences, I can testify to, you know, what they're going to go through, and having been in their seat, I can tell them exactly what they're thinking half the time, which they find rather unnerving.
And your wife could probably do the same for you, right?
Indeed.
What advice would you give students who aren't sure if they want to go to the military or to college or to the world of work? How do you help kids make that decision?
Well, I tell them the same thing, that if college being the thing that we press here in education, what does a student do that wants to go to college? They research their colleges. So I tell them the same thing for vocational schools and the military. You shouldn't join anything without doing your research and knowing what you're getting into.
Absolutely, that's good advice. So we are very grateful for your service to our country and your service here in the Red Clay School District. Who is someone in your life who you're grateful for?
Well, let's just stipulate that once we put religion and family out of the way, you're kind of asking me who am I grateful for in Red Clay, and I have to say that the faculty and staff at McCain have been very welcoming to me from day one, and I look at them as my brothers and sisters, just like I did when I was in the military. So that's who I'm grateful for.
Awesome. Grateful for the relationships that you formed. That makes perfect sense. Well, we're very grateful for, again, your service to our country and your service to Red Clay. Here on Red Clay this month, we issue one per month, the Good Apple Award, and this month we'd like to present you with the Good Apple Award for all that you do here in Red Clay.
Quite honored. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So with that, I want to thank Mr. Craster. Again, please keep up your amazing work. Stay with us, folks, because when we come back, we have more guests that we are grateful for. So we'll see you in just a bit.
Bring it.
Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home. Okay. Bye, guys.
You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one?
I gotta go eat, man. Sorry, I'll see you later.
School. It is often considered the safest place for our children. We know where they are and trust that they are in good hands. However, before they arrive, our child's day begins and ends with a short journey on a school bus. They travel on their all too familiar roads, their minds afforded the time to daydream, play, or rest. So when other motorists frequently ignore the laws, like failing to stop when the school bus's red lights are flashing and the stop arm is extended, this can happen. In the past decade, over 300 school-age children have been killed in transportation-related crashes. That is over 300 too many. Do not rush the red. Failing to do so puts precious lives at risk. As a country, we need to do better. we must keep our children safe.
Welcome back. In Red Clay, we're grateful for all the opportunities that we have to come together as a community outside of the classroom. When students are connected to their school, we truly believe it translates to greater success. One of the ways that students connect is through athletics. We're grateful to have with us here today on set is Sam Golder, Director of Secondary Schools, and a huge supporter of Red Clay Athletics, along with track coach Steve Lantz from Alexis AI DuPont High School, and Conrad basketball player phenom Julie Kulesza. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, folks, thank you for being here today. I'm excited to have you. Mr. Golder, you're very passionate about our athletic programs in Red Clay. Why do you believe sports are so important in student success?
Well, Amy, I'll tell you, I grew up playing sports as a kid, and even when I taught in Maryland, I was the head basketball coach at Arundel High School, and I've had an opportunity to see the connection between athletics and academics really throughout my entire life. I mean, in athletics, you learn many of the skills that really you take with you as you become an adult, the skills of teamwork and collaboration and empathy. Perseverance, struggling through an adverse situation and pulling through the other side. Right. So, I could speak for hours really on the benefit of athletics.
It's not that long of a show, so.
And I like to talk.
Absolutely.
So I'll tell you, but those benefits really come through with, at the college level and
right.
at the life level after that. Study after study really shows it's tremendously clear that students that participate in extracurricular, co-curricular activities do better academically. There is a direct correlation between those two things, and you see it year in and year out. So, I celebrate the athletics here in Red Clay. I celebrate our coaches and our athletes. We have so many success stories in our district. Like people like Coach Lantz, basketball star like Julie Kulesza. This just gives me a great source of pride as the director of secondary schools in our district, and I have a deep admiration for the extra time and effort that they put into making our school district a better place.
Absolutely, that's a great answer, great answer. Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself and what sports you played coming up.
So I started coaching at AI in 1985 till now.
Were you on your way to become a teacher at the time?
I was not.
Are you a teacher?
I am a teacher.
What do you teach?
Math.
Okay. So when you were a junior in college, you were not on track to become a teacher?
No.
So when did that shift?
My love of coaching kind of drew me towards looking for a career where I could
right.
Work and coach. And I was studying exercise physiology.
Okay.
And it wasn't that big a stretch to turn that into a health and phys ed degree, which I actually did for 13 years in Colonial.
Excellent.
But I was almost certified in math. An opportunity came up to switch to AI in the math department, but I'd already been there coaching all that time.
Right, and there's such a high demand for, teachers in general, but specifically math teachers, so that's a great switch that you
right.
made, and we appreciate that. Why is coaching so important to you?
It was a great experience for me, a growing experience for me, running in junior high and high school and college. I wanted to have other people reap the benefits that I did as I was going through those experiences. And over the years, I've probably evolved quite a bit from being overly focused about wins and losses in the beginning to more focused on the students and their academics and their well-being in general, and the wins and losses take care of themselves.
Right, so you're a 3-sport coach. Tell
Yes.
us a little bit about that. So you coach?
Well, right now we're in cross country.
Right.
And then the day after cross country is over, I will sleep in, and then Monday we will start winter track. And then when winter track is over, that next day, Sunday, I'll sleep in.
Okay.
And then on Monday we will start. Yes.
Excellent. So
Actually,
you're busy all year long.
I think March 1st might be a Tuesday this year. I might get an extra day.
Oh, take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Enjoy that day. So really, there is no between seasons. You just indicated that you're
Summer.
between. Oh, summer. So you take the summer off?
I take the summer off
And
between spring and I recharge from spring track to cross country with my summer, yes.
Yeah, and I think that benefits the kids when the adults
yes.
take time to recharge. And so you indicated injuries, but do you run any more?
I actually recovered from those injuries and I ran with my team every single day. Every single thing I asked them to do, I did.
Uh-huh.
All the way up till when I was about 2009. So when I was about 45 was my fourth and last knee surgery and the end of running.
Right.
Now I'm on a bike.
Okay, so you still stay active.
Yes.
Excellent. Let's shift over to Julie. Julie, what's it like to win a big championship? So exciting.
It's an amazing feeling. Really seeing how like all the hard work and effort me, my teammates, and coaches have put in, and really like it showed by winning. And then also just watching the school support and all the family support from everyone else, and just the atmosphere over at the game, it was incredible. It's just seeing how everyone comes to support you.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine that must be pretty awesome. How old were you when you first started playing basketball?
I could not tell you the first time I had a basketball, but I had a basketball in my hand constantly when I was younger.
So before you can even remember?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I was always going to the gym with my father, who continuously was coaching basketball all throughout high school and to college, and I was always there.
All right, so you're committed to practicing all the time.
Yep.
What athlete do you look up to?
I don't particularly look up to an athlete. Personally, I love watching film, so I'll watch all the athletes.
So you're your favorite athlete?
Oh, I'm not my favorite athlete.
You're watching film of everybody, not just you. Okay.
I love watching film and just putting it in, like crafting it into my own type of game and really putting it out there.
That's an amazing answer. Very nice.
Thank you.
Do you play other sports or just basketball?
For Conrad,
I shouldn't say just basketball, because I know that's a sport you're committed to, probably club, season, off season, in season.
Yeah, for Conrad, I play also varsity volleyball, and we just actually had a game last night too.
Awesome. So you're very busy as well. So what's next for you? What's your plans? Are you a senior currently?
Yep, I am a
senior. So what's up for you after high school?
So I will be attending Bucknell University off of a Division I scholarship for girls basketball.
That is amazing. Take advantage of every minute of that opportunity. That's fantastic. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
So my last question is for the group. We're going to go down the row, starting with you, Mr. Golder. We've talked a lot about gratitude in this episode of Red Clay This Month today. I'd love to know from each of you, can you tell us someone or something that you're very grateful for?
In general, it does have to be
anything,
athletic
just
related.
Anything. Just because this is November, and in November, we really do celebrate gratitude. And with Thanksgiving and all, I'm just curious to know, what are you all thankful for or grateful for?
So I'm going to go with my dad, who instilled my love of athletics. For you sports fans out there, if you could picture this, when I was a baseball pitcher, my junior and senior year of high school, I would stand, I would look at the batter, I would look at my catcher, and I would look at my father, who was standing directly behind the backstop. And I would throw a pitch, and the umpire would say ball, and my dad would yell strike. And inevitably, the umpire and my father would end up in an argument by about the third or fourth inning, and oftentimes my dad would get booted from the baseball field.
Who was right, though? Was it
I'm going to say my dad was always right. I threw a lot of strikes. So just a story about him and his passion for his kids and also for athletics. So funny story, but I've lived that really my entire life, and I'm an avid sports fan really to this day. Much of that is due to my upbringing.
So grateful for your dad's influence. Excellent.
No question.
What about you, Steve? Someone or something that you're grateful for?
I'm grateful that my wife and my family have tolerated 102 seasons of high school coaching. So there have been some sacrifices to make it all work, and they've stood by me and allowed me to pursue something I'm really passionate about.
And we're very grateful that you're willing to make those sacrifices, because it's probably too many to count the number of students' lives that you've influenced as a result of your commitment to coaching. And Julie, last but not least, something someone you're grateful for?
I'm actually going to have to go with both of their answers too, is my family and also my dad. He's really showed me the passion and love for like the game of basketball, and have just really like supported me all throughout my life and like college decisions and academics and all throughout there.
That's very special. Thank you for sharing that. And small picture, Sam, I want to say that I'm grateful that I get to work with you each and every day.
Appreciate that.
I also want to thank our viewing audience for being with us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Red Clay this month. And as usual, I want to just leave you with this one quote. Enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize that they were the big things. Thank you, and we'll see you next month.